Karen's closest friends were deeply worried about her but didn't know how to help. Her parents insisted she was fine, claiming that her—
Yo, that is crazy, y'all. Can y'all see that? Should I zoom in? Y'all can see that. Look at her body. Dreams come true. I can't grow without you. Welcome back. And I told you y'all wasn't gonna want to miss the next one. We live in times now where people typically only get their flowers, people pay homage to them and give them their recognition after they've already made it back to the Heavenly Father themselves. And I hate that for us. I've always prided myself on giving everybody their flowers while they're alive and telling you straight to your face now how great you are. Like I think a lot of y'all are great. But unfortunately, that's not how things work all the time. So I try to go back and lead by example and do these reactions and, learn as much as I can about the people that paved the way for us. So I did a reaction the other day to the Carpenters, and the song was called Close to You. And it was a beautiful song, y'all. It was a beautiful song. I'll drop the link at the end of this video, and you'll be able to just click it and go watch it. But that song had went worldwide, internationally, global, gold, top the charts, all type of stuff. And when I posted it, somebody in the comments had told me that Miss Karen Carpenter had lost her life. And I couldn't believe it because I just found out who she was. And I wanted to give her flowers now while she was alive, if she was. And then I did some research and I found out that this lady had lost her life at 32 years old. And I said, oh my God, I'm losing it. I'm 32 years old. She had so much life to live. She had a beautiful voice. Just so many things were going through my head. I'm just like, wow, I can't believe it. You know what make it worse too, y'all? I just found out who she was. And I also just found out who Bobby Hatfield was. And I think he has a beautiful voice. And unfortunately, I'm huge fans of both. And they both lost their life. So, Miss Karen Carpenter was born in 1950. And she died in 1983. So she was only 32 years old, about to be 33. I believe her birthday was in February, or she died in February. Her birthday was in March, one of the two. And she started singing at the age of 15, y'all. Can you believe that? 15 years old? There's so much information that we can learn about a person. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to check out this video. The tragic story behind one of music's most iconic voices. So, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, everybody, hit that like button for Miss Karen Carpenter and show some love. But let's go ahead and get into this video, y'all, because I'm kind of anxious to hear more.
The promise of morning light. You showed me the way to leave the past and all that steers me.
Nostalgic culture presents the wonderful, brief, and tragic life of one of the greatest voices in history. Welcome back, my friends, to another video on our channel. Considered by many as the greatest female voice in history, Karen Carpenter's story is one of immense talent and profound tragedy. When she needed help the most, her own family turned their backs on her. Together with her brother, she achieved worldwide fame, but her love life was a constant struggle. She passed away in the prime of her youth under mysterious circumstances, but her musical legacy will live on forever. This is the story of the Carpenters and the great tragedy of Karen Carpenter. Karen Ann Carpenter was born on March 2, 1950, in New Haven, Connecticut, with her brother Richard born 4 years earlier on October 15, 1946. Their parents, Agnes Reuer and Harold Bertram Carpenter, were not the affectionate type, either with each other or with their children. It was clear that Richard was Agnes's favorite, a fact she did not hide from Karen. Their father had an extensive record collection that included rock, pop, soul, jazz, and even classical music. Growing up surrounded by music had a profound influence on Karen and Richard. Their father loved music and ensured that his children received music lessons and learned to play instruments. Richard showed a remarkable talent for music from a young age, starting with the accordion before moving on to the piano. Karen, on the other hand, loved listening to old records but only developed an interest in playing instruments and singing during her teenage years. Wherever Richard went, Karen was always by his side. They were very close, despite the occasional sibling squabble. Karen enjoyed playing baseball with neighborhood friends and was often picked before Richard for teams, which sometimes annoyed her brother. Their mother, Agnes, would scold Karen for upsetting Richard. It doesn't take a psychologist to see how these dynamics could impact Karen later in life.
Right.
By the time Richard was 16, he had become an excellent pianist. Their parents were convinced that a professional singing career awaited him. To support his dream, the family moved to Southern California in 1963, the heart of the music industry. Karen was reluctant to leave her friends behind, but her parents were determined to see Richard succeed. In California, Richard started playing in clubs, often hiding his underage status. Meanwhile, Karen joined the school band, initially to avoid gym class, where she discovered her talent and love for playing the drums. In 1965, Richard Carpenter formed the Richard Carpenter Trio, with Karen on drums and their school friend Wes Jacobs on bass. Karen wanted her name included in the band's title, but despite much debate, Richard refused. The trio began gaining attention on the local music scene, performing covers of famous bands along with some original songs written by Richard. In 1966, the trio won a prominent band contest in California, earning them a contract with the powerful RCA Records. However, their music was too soft and jazz-oriented at a time when rock dominated the scene. Consequently, the label terminated the contract, leading to the trio's dissolution. Richard then formed a new group called Spectrum and shifted their musical style to include more vocal harmonies. Despite this, Spectrum did not succeed, but the siblings' music evolved, and Richard realized that Karen was not only an incredible drummer but also possessed a harmonious and sweet voice. He decided that making Karen the lead vocalist would give them a better chance at success. At 17 years old, Karen weighed 143 pounds, slightly above her ideal weight. She started dieting, lost about 11 pounds, and received praise for her appearance. Despite this, she continued dieting and kept losing weight. In early 1969, the siblings caught a lucky break when a friend took a demo tape of their music to a record label. Herb Alpert, the famous trumpeter and owner of A&M Records, was impressed with Karen's voice and immediately offered the siblings a contract. Karen was still a minor at 19 years old, so her parents co-signed for her. On October 9, 1969, the Carpenters released their first album, Offering. While Richard still handled most of the vocals, this would soon change. Unfortunately, the album didn't garner much attention. The A&M Records executives pressured Alpert to drop the siblings, but he was determined to give them another chance, ultimately blessing the world with one of the greatest groups in music history. Interestingly, Herb Alpert is married to singer Lonnie Hall, known for her duet Corazon Encadenado with Camilo Sesto. Alpert suggested the Carpenters record a song called Close to You, previously recorded by Richard Chamberlain, Dionne Warwick, Dusty Springfield, and even Alpert himself, all without success.
Did they write the song? Or did somebody else write the song? Was this all... So this was a cover. I think somebody in the comments told me that this song was a cover, and I just may have overlooked it because I didn't understand what... I didn't get it. I didn't get what they were talking about, but now I'm getting it. That Close to You song that I did a reaction to maybe was a cover that they just sung, and that's what made them top the charts because everybody else had tried singing it before and didn't do a good job, but they did. The Carpenters. Shout out to them.
Despite their doubts, the siblings followed his advice and recorded the song, featuring only Karen's vocals. The song was released on May 14, 1970.
Just like me, be close to you.
Its success was overwhelming, surprising both the siblings and the record label, selling 3 million copies in just 6 months. On July 25, 1970, the song reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States, becoming their first major hit. At the end of 1970, Richard saw a TV commercial about weddings that played a short piece of music that captivated him. Inspired by this brief tune, he composed a full song titled, "We've Only Just Begun." The siblings released this song on August 21, 1970, just 3 months after their first #1 hit, and it was an instant success.
We've only just begun to live. White.
That girl can sing. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all should have seen. The reason why I made that face is I got chills. I'm like, whoa.
The song reached #2 on the Billboard Hot 100, surpassed only by Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. This song sold 1 million copies and earned the Carpenters 2 Grammy Awards in 1971. With just 2 songs, the Carpenters achieved worldwide fame and became millionaires within a year. Their first 2 hits were included in their second album, Close to You, released in late August 1970, which sold rapidly. In November 1970, Richard decided to relax and went to see a movie called Lovers and Other Strangers. In one scene, he heard a song performed by the group Bread and immediately recognized its potential, thinking that if they recorded it in their style, it might become their next big hit. He was right. Before the end of 1970, Karen recorded the song For All We Know, and it was released on January 15, 1971. Once again, the Carpenters struck gold. The song reached #3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sold millions of copies. On April 23, the siblings released another hit, Rainy Days and Mondays, which also
They was dropping hit after hit after hit.
became a major success, reaching #2 on the Billboard Hot 100.
It's all about hanging around. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down.
Following this, they released the song Superstar, which also reached the second spot on the charts.
Your guitar, it's don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby?
These hit songs
Oh, they made that? Hold on, y'all. We gotta do a reaction to that. We gotta do a reaction to that. See, this is why I wanted to watch this video, so now I know what songs we gotta go back and watch. Don't you believe in baby? Hey, I ain't gonna lie, it was a banger. I ain't gonna lie, it was a banger. I heard it before. I heard it somewhere. I didn't know the Carpenters sung it. I heard it somewhere. I know the song. I heard it. I'm ready to watch it now. Let's finish this video, y'all. Make sure you hit that like button for the Carpenters.
were included in their third album, Carpenters, released on May 14, 1971. As a fun fact, this album was the first to feature the iconic Carpenters logo. Although Karen was the star of the group, during most of their shows, she stayed behind the drums, while Richard and the other musicians took the front of the stage. At the beginning of 1971, the group faced criticism for this arrangement, and Richard had to reluctantly give the lead role to his sister Karen, who then began performing at the front during all their shows, not just occasionally as before.
Right.
Karen started to overshadow Richard. On June 19, 1970,
Oh, don't tell me this is about to be one of those crazy stories where her brother has something to do with her death. Oh my.
the Carpenters released their song Goodbye to Love, which became very popular and reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100.
I'll say goodbye to love. No one ever cared if I should live.
A notable feature of this song is Richard's innovative use of a fuzz guitar solo, something very uncommon at the time. Because of this, Goodbye to Love is often considered the first power ballad and a pioneer of the genre. The song was included in the duo's fourth album, A Song for You, released in June 1972. In addition to this hit, other songs from the album also became popular. Hurting Each Other reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100.
We go on hurting each other.
It's Going to Take Some Time peaked at number 12.
It's gonna take some time this time, no matter what I plan.
And Top of the World hit number 1.
I'm on the top of the world, looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find.
On August 1st, 1972, the Carpenters were invited to the White House
She was cute.
at President Richard Nixon. The band became a model for American youth. Unfortunately, behind the scenes, they were not the wholesome young people they appeared to be. Due to the stress of their success, Richard began taking methaqualone pills to help him
Always
sleep
drugs.
and quickly became addicted to this highly addictive drug, which was legal in the United States at the time. As a fun fact, if you've seen the
Excuse me.
movie The Wolf of Wall Street, you'll recognize this as the drug Leonardo DiCaprio's character takes with disastrous results. Meanwhile, Karen read an article about the band in which a journalist suggested she was slightly overweight.
What?
Karen scrutinized the accompanying photo and believed it to be true, triggering a new obsession with weight control that would lead to unimaginable difficulties. Despite these issues, Richard continued to work tirelessly to make the most of Karen's voice. His creativity paid off, as everything the Carpenters released soared to the top of the charts. Their next album, Now and Then, was released on May 1st, 1973. The first single from the album, Sing, reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100.
That girl is nowhere near out of shape. Somebody tell me in the comments right now, what did y'all consider out of shape back in the day? Because I always hear stories about women feeling like their bodies are bigger than what they want it to be. But I don't know where they get that imagination from. It has to come from somewhere. Somebody's saying or they're seeing something that's like her. Somebody said she had an issue. Like these other women who's saying these things, they're lying to you. Beautiful, they're lying to you. You're not overweight. You will seriously know when you're overweight. You know, you're not overweight, sweetheart.
Sing a song out, sing out strong.
And Yesterday once more hit number 2, becoming one of the band's most acclaimed hits.
I just like before. It's yesterday once more.
By 1974, Karen had lost a significant amount of weight, was consuming large quantities of laxatives, and hiding food to avoid eating. By then, she weighed only 99 pounds. Despite her strong personality in pushing others to face their problems, she refused to acknowledge that her weight loss was related to anything other than stress. Karen was the one who practically forced Richard to seek treatment for his addiction, yet she couldn't accept help for her own struggles.
Wow.
The reality was that Karen was ill, suffering from anorexia nervosa, a condition that was little understood at the time. Karen grew increasingly thin, trying to hide it by wearing multiple layers of clothing. Despite her condition, the siblings continued working and performing on stage. Their sixth album, Horizon, was released on June 6, 1975. This album featured another of the duo's greatest hits, the unforgettable Please Mr. Postman, which reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 2 on the UK chart.
Hits. They had some hits. a few of these songs I have heard before, maybe in some movies or something like that, but they definitely had some hits on their hands, y'all. I am not making this up. I've heard that before, and I'm about ready to. Let's get back and finish this video, y'all. I'm excited.
Another successful track from this album was Only Yesterday, which reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Baby, baby, your love's made me free as a soul. Only yesterday when I was sad.
In early 1975, Karen's extreme thinness sparked rumors that she had cancer. By this time, she had become addicted to ipecac syrup, a substance used to induce vomiting in cases of poisoning. However, her family refused to acknowledge that she was ill and in need of help. From 1975 onwards, the siblings' success began to wane, reflected in the sales of their 7th album, A Kind of Hush, released on June 11, 1976. Despite having good songs like There's a Kind of Hush,
There's a kind of all over the world, all over the world, people just like
and I Need to Be in Love,
I know I need to be in love.
the album's sales fell short compared to their previous releases. The Carpenters sold 150 million records worldwide, and their name became etched in the history of global music, with Karen's voice being considered one of the best and sweetest of all time. Feel free to leave us a comment about this band. What's your favorite song of theirs, and where are you watching from? In 1979, Richard confronted his addictions and checked into a specialized medical center. Karen used this break to work on a solo album she had long been planning. She poured her heart into it, recording 12 songs that deviated from the Carpenters' traditional style, incorporating disco and other upbeat rhythms that demanded much more from her voice. Karen loved the result, but when she presented it to her brother, he reacted with coldness. In meetings with record label executives, it was decided to shelve the project, plunging Karen into a deep depression. It seemed she could only sing what Richard and the executives wanted her to sing. Even the renowned music producer Quincy Jones pleaded with the executives to release the album, believing it would be a great success, but to no avail. The truth is that Richard was very envious of Karen for achieving success without him. Karen's solo album was only released in 1996, 13 years after her death, when Richard finally allowed it to be published. In her love life, poor Karen had no luck either. She dated several celebrities of the time, such as Mike Curb, Tony Danza, Terry Ellis, Mark Harmon, Steve Martin, and Alan Osmond.
She did.
Although she often mentioned in interviews that she didn't believe marriage.
I ain't gonna lie. No, they gotta go back and shout out. We gotta give my man. Since I love to pay. I give you their respects, y'all. We gonna talk about Karen at the end of the video. We getting there. But I gotta give my man some respect.
To be published.
I'm gonna tell y'all what I'm talking about.
In her love life, poor Karen had no luck either. She dated several celebrities of the time, such as Mike Curb, Tony Danza.
Shout out to Tony Danza, man. Shout out to Tony Danza. I ain't even gonna lie. Shout out to Tony Danza. I know you probably getting up there now, man. You know, I want to definitely give you a shout out, man. I watched a lot of the movies and TV shows that you've been on. Very, very entertaining actor. But the big one
Terry
of them
Ellis,
all,
Mark.
man, NCIS. I know y'all watch some NCIS. This is my guy. What's his name? Gibbs? Gibbs don't play on NCIS. He don't laugh. He don't joke. He all business. And he did have his way with the ladies. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of act like the guy. Honestly, I'm always alone working on my own craft, and I'm a pretty serious guy. Unless and my sense of humor is very different as well. Shout out to Mark Harmon. I didn't know that was his name.
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin. Hold on.
Alan Osmond.
Steve Martin. Steve Martin was a great actor. What did he play on? Man, Steve Martin was funny, y'all. Y'all gotta drop some in the comments. Tell me what movies that Steve Martin played on. I'm thinking Is he the guy from Flubber? No, 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 that's not him from Flubber. What is Steve Martin playing on? Was it Cheaper by the Dozen? I think it's Cheaper by the Dozen.
Although she often mentioned in interviews that she didn't believe marriage could sustain her hectic work schedule and lifestyle, she confessed to her friend Olivia Newton-John that she longed to have children, a family, and a happy home, like any normal person. Unfortunately, that dream never became a reality for her. In the mid-1980s, Karen met a real estate broker named Thomas James Burris, who was 9 years older than her. He approached her in a restaurant and impressed her with his elegant and sophisticated demeanor. However, Karen didn't know that Burris was actually a bankrupt opportunist looking for a way out of his problems. Sadly, Karen's emotional vulnerability and lack of love in her life made her an easy target for this con artist. Burris had left his wife and started an affair with Karen. Within a few months, he proposed to her. The singer accepted, and they set the wedding date for August 31, 1980, at the Crystal Room of the Beverly Hills Hotel. Karen was 30 years old and believed this was the perfect opportunity to have the home and children she always dreamed of. However, just days before the wedding, Burris confessed that he couldn't have children because he had undergone a vasectomy. Once again, Karen's dreams were shattered, and she wanted to cancel the wedding.
I thought a vasectomy could be fixed. They can't. Oh, they probably couldn't fix it back then. A vasectomy could be fixed. He didn't want to have babies with her. That's what it must be.
However, her indignant mother prevented her, saying it was too late, as all the... Again, Karen's dreams were shattered, and she wanted to cancel the wedding. However, her indignant mother prevented her, saying it was too late, as all the invitations had been sent out and relatives had already bought their flights. Desperate for her mother's approval and love, Karen didn't know how to stand up for herself. She gave in to the pressure and married a man who would become her worst nightmare. Soon after, Burris began spending all of Karen's money, squandering thousands of dollars on whims and luxuries. Worse yet, he subjected her to severe mental and physical abuse. Many believe that Burris played a crucial role in Karen's death, constantly pressuring her and belittling her. Karen's life became a living hell, and just a year after they married, she filed for divorce. Despite being extremely thin, Karen found new ways to continue losing weight. She was taking large amounts of laxatives, between 80 and 90 pills a night. She also took thyroid medication to speed up her metabolism, despite having a normally functioning thyroid. Karen's closest friends were deeply worried about her but didn't know how to help. Her parents insisted she was fine, claiming that her...
Yo, that is crazy, y'all. Can y'all see that? Should I zoom in? Y'all can see that. Look at her body. That is so sad, bro. That is so sad that this woman had probably one of the best voices in the whole wide world at the time. And she couldn't find enough people to tell her how great she was and how loved she was, bro. That'd be so sad, yo.
Extreme dieting was a family matter that shouldn't be discussed publicly and could be resolved within the family. In 1981, despite her parents' objections, Karen sought professional help and traveled to New York to receive treatment from a psychotherapist named Stephen Levenkron, who had written a book on eating disorders. After a few months of therapy, Levenkron called Karen's parents, Richard and Agnes, for a family session and explained that Karen's condition was extremely severe. As part of her treatment, the doctor asked them to tell Karen that they loved her. Richard and her father managed to express their love, but Agnes, whose affection Karen longed for, refused to comply and reprimanded the doctor for addressing her by her first name. By September 1982, Karen was admitted to Lenox Hill Hospital in New York, where she was placed on intravenous nutritional support. The treatment worked, and she gained some weight in a relatively short time, but it put a strain on her heart, which had already been weakened by years of inadequate dieting. It was a tough year for Karen, emotionally distressed, exhausted, and with her body reaching a breaking point. On December 17th, she performed for the last time at the multipurpose room of Buckley School in Sherman Oaks, California. On February 1st, 1983, Karen saw her brother Richard for the last time to discuss new plans for the Carpenters and a potential tour. On February 3rd, she visited her parents to finalize her divorce from Thomas Burris. Tragically, the following morning, February 4th, 1983, Agnes found Karen collapsed on the floor and lifeless. Karen was just 32 years old.
Her mom.
She had become addicted to ipecac syrup, a medication used to induce vomiting in cases of poisoning. What she didn't know was that consuming it in large doses had a devastating side effect. It slowly dissolved the muscles of her heart. Ultimately, it was her heart that could no longer endure and triggered what was already inevitable. In 1989, 6 years after Karen's death, CBS produced a film attempting to portray her life story. However, Richard and Agnes refused to include scenes showing Karen's desperate need for her mother's affection and other internal family issues. Consequently, those scenes had to be removed and rewritten. The final scene of the film shows Agnes looking lovingly at Karen from the stairs and saying,
"And Karen, I love you."
I love you too, Mom. Good night.
Unfortunately, this final conversation was fabricated by the producers for dramatic effect. In reality, Karen never heard those long-awaited words from her mother. That's it for today. This was the story of the talented but tragic Karen Carpenter. Leave us a comment about today's video. What do you think of this sad chapter in music history? Don't forget to check out more videos on our channel.
Wow. I definitely am lost for words. I'm definitely lost for words, y'all. There's so much I could say right now. But after this lady did the things that she did and paved the way for all of the musicians that came after her, I'm just gonna say, sounds like she had a beautiful heart and beautiful soul who needed to be told how beautiful her soul and heart was. Sometimes in this world we live in, you can get all of the acknowledgement from everybody in the world, but it still wouldn't be enough because the people that birthed you just don't care about you the way that you feel that they should. Now, in her case, it wouldn't be everybody in the situation, but it does seem like there was a lot of manipulation that was going on within that family, considering the fact that they had high hopes for the son to become a musician. But they didn't really mention what they had ambitions for the daughter to become. And she was always just going to be second fiddle following up behind Richard. And the mother and the dad and Richard had a very, very good relationship. I'm a huge fan of conspiracy theories, y'all. But I'm not trying to lead this off into one. I do think it is very weird. And like the creator and narrator said, it was definitely sketchy. Things aren't adding up. Don't make no sense. I don't understand what was the animosity and the beef between her and her mother. I don't get what the beef between women and their mothers be overall in general at all. But that's a topic of conversation for another day. Karen Carpenter had a beautiful soul, beautiful voice, and she made music that touched everybody and made you feel better. Shout out to you for that. Finding out that you were around all of these people, these high, intelligent people with time and resources. They couldn't figure out no way to tell you that you were beautiful no matter what shape or size you were? This is why people deserve to be told how great they are now while they are alive and not after, y'all. If you agree with me, please let me know in the comments what you think about my opinion, my take. What do y'all think about Karen Carpenter's career, her life, also her death? Do y'all think it was suspicious? Do y'all think it was kind of weird? And also, like I said, y'all, if y'all want to check out the reaction that I did to Close to You, then I'll there's gonna be something that's gonna pop up on the screen in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there you go. You can click that link. It's your boy DtaeNoDinero, y'all. Stay tuned because y'all not gonna want to miss out on the next one. What I got in store for y'all.
Love you, you complete me, but I might be fool. In my world, dreams come true. I can't grow without you.